All right, my friends, welcome to episode 132 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I'm the Professor Larry at Prof Plays Games on Twitter, and over there is the Dev Anthony at Summer Speak. We haven't talked in a while about anything that you're working on. Are you able to talk about any of the fabulous games that you're working on right now?
I really can't.
Okay.
I am working on stuff, though. But
excellent.
Hopefully in the future I can explain more about that and what's coming and what I'm doing. It's exciting though.
Awesome. We have secrets to look forward to then.
It's true. It's just in that early prototype phase, and I'm under actual NDAs and stuff to not talk publicly about it. So
it must be open world Star Wars. I understand. Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want to be doing.
Yeah. You heard they're hiring for a new team for an open world Star Wars game, right?
I'm sure they are, because everything has to be open world now.
Right.
Actually, that does not even sound fun to me overall. I'm like,
working on an open world game?
An open world game like that, and also just playing an open world Star Wars game is not something I'm like completely into. I don't know. It's just definitely something I'm like, I just see that just falling down in so many ways. Because that's not... I don't know. When I play a Star Wars game, I just want to be told a story. I don't want to wander about, and honestly, it's probably going to be pretty sparse, because let's be honest, it's really hard to do open world games well in any reasonable amount of time. Make them. So...
Right. Well, in the Old Republic, is that an MMO?
It's an MMO.
That's not open world, right?
As open world as any MMO is. If you consider, it's very WoW. It is pretty much a carbon copy of WoW in a lot of ways, mechanically. With a Star Wars skin on stuff on it. Great. So, kind of, but it was still pretty overall boring. I've wanted to like it. I've tried it 3 or 4 times total over its lifespan, and I just can't get into it, which is sad. I'm like, but I like Knights of the Old Republic. Just give me a strong, campaign story, Star Wars. That's all I really want.
I guess the problem is you can turn those back into GameStop when you're done, and there's the used market, apparently, is what's killing the...
Oh, I'm sure. It always is.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, this week, we're not going to lament about Star Wars too much. We're going to talk about GDC 2018, which just wrapped up in San Francisco. We'll talk a little bit about Chrono Trigger, and then we will finish with what we are playing. So do you want to start with the awards that were passed out for GDC this year? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it was... Celeste won Audience Award, and it was Celeste run the IGF Independent Games Award part of it for audience choice. So Nier won Audience Award, which was great for them because they haven't picked up a ton of awards, and it seems like a really good one overall. Like, hey, the audience really likes you, thumbs up. So that's cool. But what else is there to say from the awards? Zelda won a bunch, as expected. This game, Gorogoa, which I've seen a little on. Game. Is it on PC or is it? It's mobile. That's right. That's probably why I haven't played Switch,
it. And it's just coming to PC or PS4 now.
Okay. Horizon won some best technology, and that's not shocking.
Well, I saw that the McNally Grand Prize went to Night in the Woods for looks like a $30,000 payday for them. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's a great award overall. But I mean, actually, there were no huge upsets or anything.
Right.
It was pretty standard, and knowing how these are voted on, not shocking. Especially the industry ones. There's a number of the people on the board and judges, and they get all these games and they can play them, and they rate all of them. So
I like seeing Super Hot VR win Best VR. I don't know if you play that in VR, but it's
not in VR. Everyone I've talked to loves that game in VR.
It's so good, and it is so good.
So yeah,
it's a good showpiece for what VR can be for a game.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get some more showpieces. We'll see what. Still think VR has a ways to go, the more I think about it.
Certainly does.
But we got a few little showpieces, but I'm like, is it enough for me to actually pay the money to get a VR headset to play it? Probably not.
Well, and I thought the same thing when, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, for the span of 2 or 3 weeks, PlayStation dropped the price to $199, and I was like, yeah, still not. I mean, partially, I don't want something on my head that makes it so I can't see my family, like my 9-year-old daughter or 9-month-old daughter. Oh my God,
that makes sense.
Her older than she is. Yeah, so I don't really want that. But still, I don't think there's a lot of experiences on it that are compelling to me, aside from Superhot, which I've already played. And I guess the only one I'm really interested in playing is Moss. But, that's like a 4-hour experience. I'm not really going to pay $199 and hook up all the crazy cables and stuff to play that game.
And that's actually how I feel with it right now, is like, I want these experiences and I wouldn't mind playing them, but for the most part, the goggles and everything are just going to be sitting collecting dust between these experiences. So it's just wait, see what else gets made, see if any others. I'm really just waiting for that big, super compelling thing, but we're not there yet.
Nope, certainly not. And just to justify the price and the I don't know, even if it was lower price, just taking myself out of my house in terms of putting that on is just not a place that I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So the awards, I think we're not too surprised. It's nice to see some of our favorites get recognized. And congrats to all the teams there. There were some other things making around to GDC. One thing that you saw was a tech demo, or maybe not even a demo,
it was stuff. It was the state of Unreal. Every year, Epic Games does their kind of keynote on, look at the stuff we're doing with the Unreal Engine. Of course, they had some stuff on Fortnite in there, because Fortnite is destroying everything right now.
Including PUBG. Has just eviscerated PUBG on basically all platforms.
It's basically hit the peak now. Like, PUBG can go away. People are just... Here's the one thing. Epic makes very high-quality games that tend to be pretty stable, and that's
surprising
not PUBG.
That they know their engine.
Yeah, they know their engine really well. And honestly, the team that's making that, the engine team and the dev teams are separate, but they do. They work on their engine, and they can also just go, hey, engine team, can you help us with something? Can you explain how this works or tell us best practice on this? The great thing is, for people that actually use the Unreal Engine, it actually, bunch of that Fortnite stuff got rolled back into, the engine for everyone using it. So
the Paragon stuff did Fortnite stuff get rolled into?
Well, I mean, that was them giving out all the assets to Paragon, so you can use it. Not the Fortnite stuff. It's technology from stuff they needed for that game gets rolled back into public release for the Unreal Engine. So you get the multiplayer enhancements. You get the big giant map enhancements, level of detail enhancements, just all these things that they've built for this game get given out to everybody else. Not the actual content.
Not the assets and stuff.
Not the assets.
So is it the case that when Epic makes any upgrades to that engine, they basically have to be put out with the engine because that's their product basically?
They don't have to, but they do. But it is their product. I mean, the thing, they're not necessarily a straight game company. They're an engine company. They just happen to make games on their engine, and it's one of the benefits of them. When they let other people use that engine, you can tell people have made games on it because it has a workflow that is nice for making games, as opposed to things like Unity. Unity is a great engine, and people use it for a ton of games. But you can tell in a lot of places that they don't actually make games themselves. And so there's sometimes disconnect on workflow. You're like, oh man, it would be really great if I could do X, Y, and Z this way. But no, we have to do it this way instead because that's how they programmed it and made the engine work without really thinking of how it would be used in real world examples. So
because they're not actually doing the practice of making games with their own code.
Yeah, they have an internal demo team that they make demos, but that's still not making and releasing games. There's something to be said about that. So Epic had this big thing, and they showed off a few things. They basically showed off real-time mocap, like the next step of the Hellblade tech that they showed off. Was that last year that they showed off the Hellblade, or was it 2 years ago?
I think it was last year before the game came out, or right around when the game.
And it was basically they were showing like, because they were the performer of Senua in the game. Like they had a scene with her last year, and they're like and they were doing it this like show. Look at our like cinematic tools, so you can make in-game movies and things like that in animation. And they're like, oh, when you get to the end, it's like, oh, that person you saw, that face, and they're talking and stuff. Yeah, that was actually being powered by a facial capture behind the scenes, come out and the whole thing. So they basically took that. They're like, okay, we're going to the next level, and they showed a incredibly detailed Andy Serkis doing a Macbeth lines, about 1:25 of Macbeth lines, which looked incredible.
It did. It really, really did.
And then they did Siren, which was showing full body motion capture with facial capture, and was like, come to a booth on GDC floor and you can actually just talk to this digital being powered by an actress who is answering your questions, and in real time, 60 frames per second, very lifelike, just talking to you. With realistic movements, facial expressions, the whole thing.
Man, she looked like a real person in that video.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're getting close. This is pushing the uncanny valley, like to the getting over it. We're getting there.
Yeah,
and then they ended it with some crazy ray tracing tech for people in there, which is like the holy grail of rendering. So basically rendering actual light, simulating light in a scene and how it would bounce around, and so how it hits surfaces properly instead of all the fake stuff that computer games do right now. Right. And they showed a Star Wars, a Phasma Stormtrooper thing that looked as good as anything that would be in The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens, except it's running on a $3,000 NVIDIA graphics card. So that's not really going to be used anytime soon in reality. But
imagine all the bitcoins you can mine with that card.
I hate the price of graphics cards right now. Absolutely despise them.
Pretty terrible. Are you looking to upgrade right now? Is that why?
No, I've looked at them a little bit. I should upgrade probably in the next year. It's about time. But if prices are going to be still jacked up because of cryptocurrency mining, I don't know. I don't really want to spend inordinate amounts of money for something I know that shouldn't cost that much.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
So I mean, they showed off some pretty impressive stuff there. That was kind of a joint thing between NVIDIA, Epic, and Microsoft, because Microsoft is the one who put out some of this new tech for DirectX. So not that an Xbox One is ever going to get to do anything with it. It's not even close. So
right.
In the future, somewhere, you'll get really, really cinematic level real-time graphics. God, those games are going to be expensive to make.
Well, and those are like, what, we're going to be playing those on our 4 or 8K TVs? Or
yeah, basically. Like some ridiculous. Like, you talk about virtual reality, it will just look like a real place.
Reality, yeah. That'd be awesome for like video tourism and stuff. Just playing games at that resolution would be crazy.
Yeah, there's actually a whole subsection of Unreal Engine users that don't make games with it. They actually use it for architecture and building design. So you can like see the spaces that you're gonna build.
Right.
So
it's probably easier to use an AutoCAD or something. I don't know what other programs they use.
Yeah, I mean, they would probably still be using Max and Maya and all these like Autodesk programs that they just pull it into Unreal for proper lighting.
Right.
And simulation overall, because that's not what CAD stuff is for.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, that was a pretty fun thing to watch. Beyond that, I didn't see a lot of like huge news. I saw that the travel ban knocked a few people off the One Reason to Be panel.
Oh my god,
that was like racing to the end. Rami Ismail on Twitter, I follow him, a really big developer. He got an ambassador.
He got an award. Yeah. Right.
Really cool developer and really does a ton of outreach. And he was trying to get a lot of minority people from around the world to be on the One Reason to Be panel, which is always more about diversity or advocacy in general in video games. But man, he was having a hell of a time getting visas approved. So like he was for the week before was just like, and another one rejected. Like every day there was like somebody being rejected, and he couldn't get them to the panel. So
that's the sad reality of the politics of our country right now.
Yeah, I mean they're freaking game developers. Just sure, whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately they have the wrong color skin and the wrong nationality for this current president.
Yeah,
for as long as we have him. But speaking of that kind of politics, the thing that I saw at GDC that really kind of piqued my attention was the Game Workers Unite, the conversations about basically the game development community unionizing. And a couple of things stood out to me. One, basically when people showed up, there were zines all over the place. Yeah. Kind of looks like Nintendo Power a little bit. And I had heard descriptions of them on different podcasts, but I hadn't actually seen them until earlier today. And it's basically just printed out on your printer and then fold it in half and staple it with a stapler. It looks, unfortunately, a little less professional than I was hoping for. I would have liked to see like a more, I don't know.
I mean, it just doesn't. Just a single page color flyer would be enough, honestly.
Exactly right. But the thing that I heard that was interesting about this whole unionizing game workers, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit. I'm in a union, have been in a union for a long time. My parents were a union, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge union supporter, and kind of having had discussions with you about like the logistics and what makes sense, what doesn't. During a split screen podcast, Jason Schreier was talking about having talked to some of these people and went to the meeting where they were talking about these issues. And people were concerned about, if you make it like the movie unions, then there are only certain people that can do certain jobs. And if they're not here, you can't actually do that job. And it causes a lot of complications. And what some of the people were saying, and what piqued his interest, which then piqued my interest, was that it's not necessarily that everyone has to be in the same union. For example, like our teachers union, we're all part of like the California Federation of Teachers. Like we're all in the same group, although locally we're all in our own unions. We still kind of adhere to the same guidelines and things like that. What they were saying is a model that makes a little more sense is that your specific development houses unionize. For example, Naughty Dog unionizes. The people at Naughty Dog unionize, and then if you want to work at Naughty Dog or whatever, you're in the union, or maybe not particularly, you have to, like at our school, you don't have to be in the union to get the union benefits, although that's about to change with the Janus ruling from the Supreme Court. But basically, just giving people in the particular development house the ability to collectively bargain with the admin, whereas if Naughty Dog did that and Santa Monica didn't, it wouldn't matter. And if like a big house did it, then eventually other places would do it. But you wouldn't have to have like the rules at Naughty Dog don't need to be the same as the rules at Santa Monica or at Bend or anything else. And I thought it was an interesting take on unionization, because I usually think about it as kind of like uniform across a particular industry. And they were saying actually it doesn't have to be like that at all. It can be whatever the people working at that particular place want.
Yeah, so and that's where I went. I went to their website and was pretty disappointed overall, because I was looking for information like that. I was like, okay, what's your plan? Like, you want unionizing? Do you want it like Hollywood and the movies are? And how does that work between different countries and indie developers and big AAA publishers and devs? And just, as you're saying, like, there's a number of structures to unions, like public unions, private unions. I have family and electricians unions. Mm-hmm. And that's different than like the way your union is set up as a teacher.
Exactly.
Which is different than like steelworkers unions, things like that. Like, they're all structured differently. So I was hoping to go to their website and get some more details about, well, what are your proposals? I am open to reading, and I would love some more information on kind of like, what are the challenges? What have you thought through? What's a good way to approach this? And their website has nothing. It's basically like, send us an email if you want to be involved with the like even just the forming of plans and ideas. And like, okay. And then the About Us page was links to what is unions, what is union busting, so on and so on. Stuff that I'm like, yeah, I understand that. I understand unions at a high level. I'm not part of one. I haven't been part of one, but I understand them. Can I have more information, please? Like,
Yeah, I'm reading
like
through
if you're trying to be this company or this group putting out those zines or flyers, I'm like, I would expect you to have more information.
So I agree with that for sure. There's definitely part of being in a union. Like I just joined the executive board of our union, and there's even in a well-established union, there's a lot of educating people on what unions are. Yeah. So I understand their desire to educate people who aren't even in a union right now about what it is and what the benefits are, but it has to be dual pronged. Like here's general information, but then here's specifically what we want to do. And I think the problem with some of these organizations is that it's so horizontal. They're like, we want to take everyone's input and create, something that we can all agree on. Like it's hard to get that off the ground. We need to have like a leader from, like Jason Schreier was talking about, like he helped unionize Kotaku. And this was before Gawker went down and Univision came in. And you have to have a strong leader who has like a can rally and have some sort of vision. And the vision right now is let's join a union, which is great. But as you say, people who are not in a union, who haven't been in a union, need to understand like what does that mean practically for like the next couple of years? How does this happen? What does it mean? And not just in addition to the general information, we need a lot more specifics, and that's I think what's missing here.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like, while this is good and it briefly got people to look at it, this is going to be a blip on the radar overall. Like, as they said in Split Screen, like, it'd be great if someone at, like, Naughty Dog, or even, screw Naughty Dog, what if developers at Activision themselves did that? But is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't know if that really starts any internal conversations at those big companies overall, from workers.
Well, I think the issue might be also, okay, well, we'll close these studios and then open up studios across the world. Like Ubisoft just opened up two, one in Odessa in Ukraine and one somewhere else. Like we don't have to worry about unions there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's a very global thing. Like
that's right.
Video games themselves aren't like, where Hollywood, you can say the American movie industry is focused here. And it's a very worldwide big thing. And I'm not saying that the U.S. video game market is not great, but it is pretty challenging. Like, it has strong competitors in Europe, in China, in Japan, like Australia. It's not as, maybe because it came up later overall, like in this more internet age, and things are so much more distributed globally. So I have a hard time like, all right, well, we could have unions locally, but what does that mean for these multinational corporations?
Exactly. And if they see that their studio in San Francisco, for example, is costing them way more money than their studio in Canada, then they will just shift all the resources north, basically.
It's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen that in other industries. It happens. So there's a really... I'm not saying that's a reason not to try for unionization. It's mostly more of a, like, if you're going to do this, you're probably going to have to do this it's a tightrope to walk.
It is. And I think there's the conversation is useful to have, especially around crunch. And I obviously haven't experienced that you have, but just something simple as people collectively bargaining to say we are going to get paid overtime, like. Instead of, obviously we have to stay, as we get closer to deadline, there's a lot of work to do, but we should be fairly compensated for that. So that's a couple of things that I heard. One of those, that was one of them that made a lot of sense to me.
And that's always been one. And labor laws in California and number of states changed in the early 2000s because of all of that, and early to mid 2000s.
Because of EA.
Yeah, the EA stuff. And it affected Microsoft and a bunch of other places as well. It affected the entire tech industry overall. Right. It wasn't just games. There was just specific roles on teams that have to be given overtime. You can't, like, someone in QA isn't overtime exempt. Like, QA, they get paid hourly. They have to. What else? Like, I've always been exempt based on my job titles. Mm-hmm. It's very hit or miss. It's very specific to certain roles. I know. So there was some movement in that way, but there also has been a fair amount of movement to not have deathly crunch because it looks really bad on the studio. There's a lot of social pressure to not.
And also
go into insane.
brain drain. Like you lose your most talented people who are like, I can go work in Silicon Valley, work 30 hours a week, make more money, have better benefits, and not crunch.
Yeah. So
see my family.
Yeah. So I mean, that's always been a big one. Like, we'll see though. I mean, you hear about awful crunch coming out of like CD Projekt Red though as well. So
right. Well, and that's the thing.
And I'm like, well, they're probably never ever going to unionize, and that's just suck it up, people. Like, which is awful, but I don't know. It's a very tricky situation, and I really wish these people, like, beyond just putting the zine out and getting people talk about it, had some more, would start really doing the education for the industry and all the workers that probably have no clue how a union's really going to help them overall.
Right.
Like, I can high level grasp how it could help me. Although in my current situation, I don't know how it could help me greatly, considering.
Yeah, not in your current situation.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, but in theory, I see how it could help when I was at PopCap or things like that.
Exactly.
But I still would love more details about it, or more education, being like, okay, let's get down a little bit deeper and how this could actually happen.
Yeah, and I hope this is where it starts and the conversations keep happening. I just keep coming back to the fact that, like, you know, being in the union, working in the union, joining the e-board now, like it's a professional organization. And when you advertise this professional organization, or the hopes of a professional organization entering this industry with a slapdash zine that's really just, it looks homemade and in a poor sort of way. Like, I understand the resources are limited, but that's not the best foot forward to get people to be interested in this thing, I think. So it's easy to discount that, I think.
Yeah. It's true.
So anyway, that was the thing from GDC that really stood out to me. Obviously pro-union, so I always like to hear how people are doing that in their industry. Anything else from GDC that stood out to you?
Nothing that really stood out to me. It was a pretty quiet GDC for me overall. AR and VR are still the hot, like, give us all your venture capital money, basically.
Please give us your venture capital money. Yeah.
Basically. We'll see what the next trend is right now.
So if there's nothing else from GDC, maybe we should move on to Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Which you got further than me. And the reason why is because for several times this week, usually I play Switch or 3DS because the TV is occupied. But my wife had a bunch of work to do and she was not using the TV. So I had the opportunity to play some PS4, and I don't have much opportunity lately to do that. So I took advantage of it. So I'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I neglected my Chrono Trigger duties until today. And they're not duties, of course. I like the game a lot.
I'm not really that much farther than you. I'm probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you didn't beat that sequence then?
I shouldn't have. Yeah. There's just nothing, like, it's not like there's a big like dungeon or anything.
Right.
It's literally going to the future, going to where it pointed you, and reading a few things and getting some cutscenes. That's really it.
Well, let's tell the audience where we are. Last we left off, we went to the Magic Kingdom, I think is what the guides call it. I'm not sure if that's what it's called in the game.
Zeal, I think, is its name. Overall.
Yeah, the Zeal Palace is the end up place where you go. But it's kind of like these different sky networks. So you're going through these kind of shafts of light elevators to get to different places. And there's a queen in this realm that is kind of almost tyrannical, right?
Yeah.
And they're bringing, or have brought, Lavos into the world. That's what I understood from the story. Yes, they were using Lavos to power their city, basically, and their magic and the whole thing. Right. And this is also, was it 13,000 BC or 13 million BC? I thought it was 13,000. 13,000 BC. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is before, so a whole civilization, advanced magical civilization that has come and gone. Right. That has no one in the modern day, this world, or the future even knows this thing existed, as far as I could tell. Yeah, I think you just see the remnants like that. There's I keep... Oh, was the Sun Temple thing? Yeah, exactly. You see little references here and there, but... Right. Well, and then that world is basically set. There's like the world in the sky with the magic users and the non-magic users down on the ground, and you're kind of shifting between the two.
Yeah.
I thought that the side text in some of the, maybe even the first place you went into, was interesting. There was a guy in the upper right-hand corner where when you talked to him, he was talking about how the truth is in dreams, and they're in his dreams or something like that. And I was like, is everything that we're doing just this guy's dream? Like, is this entire game someone's dream? Yeah. We've had that flashback or flash forward or whatever to Chrono and Marl and things that seem dreamlike, but maybe not. So I wonder if that's a clue about where we're going.
I honestly have no clue where we're going. We've now... getting very close to reaching. I think probably in next week we'll probably pass where the last I played.
Okay. So we're quickly gonna move into uncharted territory for both of us.
So I mean, we did that, and you have the tyrannical queen. You learn that Marl's pendant, though, is one of these similar to the pendants they have in this world, and it can be powered up with the energy and can start unlocking these sealed doors you've seen everywhere in the world.
Finally. And that's where, once you beat at the end of this whole Magic Kingdom place, you fight a golem, and whether or not you beat the golem, you get sent back and the gate's locked, and then you're given a vision or knowledge, I can't remember which it was, of the Protodome, I think is where that original door was that looks the same as the one you opened up to go fight the golem. And you were going back to open it and progress the story there.
Keeper's Dome.
Oh, Keeper's Dome, okay.
Yeah. Although there are a number of those doors around in the future.
I saw a couple of them earlier. You couldn't get in them. But does it also work on those little, chests?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's something very special. So some of them you'll go up to, and it will open right away. Mm-hmm. And then some of them will be in multiple times. You can find them in an earlier time. Mm-hmm. And you can choose to open it then, or you can say, no, I'm not going to touch it.
Oh, and then wait till later.
And then and then find it in... So if you go there's some in 600 AD, and you go up to them there, and you say, no, I'm not taking the contents, but it powers up, and you go find it in 1000 AD. And it's a better item. I do remember doing that. And those things are completely open to being found now.
There was in one of the buildings that we were in the Magic Kingdom, there was a woman on the bottom with a sapling with a tree. Did you go to her and talk to her?
I'm sure I did. I can't. Oh. I talked to everyone I could.
Okay. So basically, she is asking you. She got this tree from the guru, and the queen wants her to destroy it. And she asked you, should I burn it or should I grow it in secret? And when I got to that, I was like, I'm going to look this up because I don't want to make the wrong decision. And it told me which one to do, and it said it's going to be important later in the game, although I don't think it's essential. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember what I chose. What did I choose? Or did I even find... This is where my memory with my old playthrough is blurring. I mean, I've talked to her before. Yeah, no spoilers. I don't know. That should be fun. You're going to start... There's a little bit more story stuff, and then it kind of opens up into side questy time.
Oh, nice. I was wondering when those were going to start.
It's basically... You'll see why. You do the next little bit, and then you'll be like, oh, this is why side quests can start opening up more.
Cool.
And you get a lot of that fun side quest with time. That's where you meet Fiona, the name that you always were like, there has to be one in here. Yeah, she's in there. Not as a playable character though.
Okay, that's why the name.
But there's an NPC for a kind of a big quest. I think it's probably one of the more memorable quests that people talk about in the game.
Right.
But it's all side quest. So yeah, I mean, overall, progressing through the game, way quicker than I remember. I think we're at like 12 hours now, something like that.
Yeah, mine's at 13 and a half. But I dawdled a bit earlier, but I'm kind of streamlined now that I've kind of understanding the language of the game a bit better. Yeah.
I spent this playthrough beyond just doing this final thing in the future. I went around and did all my not side questing. I opened a bunch of doors and chests. Like, I just remembered, I'm like, I can do this now. I'm going to go do this. And I think that took me like an hour to go back and forth between different times and go to different areas, different maps.
Right. Get some cool items.
Yes. Now I got to actually figure out how to equip them and who gets what. But yeah, no, overall it feels... and then once you do more of this last little future section, you'll get a very clear explanation of the story so far as well.
Okay. I feel like I've gotten it's pieced together, but it's not quite tight enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I totally get it. So yeah, that's nice to know.
So there's your refresher.
Yeah, excellent. Those are necessary. I think Horizon Zero Dawn. I think you told me like if you go to your old hut or your hut or whatever, they like retell the whole story, which is nice.
Up to where you were.
That game.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, I don't remember anything.
Oh, it's a great idea.
It is an awesome
I want
idea
more games to do that.
Games. Yeah, especially the longer games where you do walk away and come back. Like not all of us can play through a weekend and beat these large games.
Yeah. So beyond that, I guess we can go into what else we've been playing. I again only played one other game, and I played a lot of it. Yeah.
Oh shit! You're really into the post game.
I'm not even at the true. It kind of is the post game, but there's still gates.
Okay, for new gear. Or
for
enemies,
for new systems. I haven't unlocked all the systems in the game. There's one more mechanic for your gear and upgrading that I have not unlocked yet.
That's pretty cool that there's so much stuff after the end of the game.
And I should say there's a whole chunk of the game that I haven't even done. There's this thing called the arena, which is you don't go into it. It's like a whole separate line of quests, and it's against specific monsters, and you can choose one of 4 weapon and gear loadouts. You don't use your own gear or anything. They're like fixed, and it's timed, and you get ranked on your time you complete it by. And there's a whole separate set of gear that you can get from the materials and rewards you get from there. Have entire other armor sets you can get. So I haven't even touched that at all.
Wow. This
game is enormous. So but I'm sure someone's complaining out there that this isn't worth $60.
Oh God, that seems unbelievable considering how everyone raves about how much content there is in this game.
It's a ridiculous amount of content. And it's just a really good use of content and reuse of content when it's time.
Right.
Yeah, no, the game's insane. I love it. I played it last night. I played it the night before that.
So you're going to be playing this for the foreseeable future still?
I think so. I don't want to stop. I have 2 friends playing it, and we typically get on at night, and we just do a couple hunts together.
Right. It seems like what people used Destiny for, like just hang out with friends and then do cool shit.
Yeah. And this one I feel way cooler than in Destiny, honestly.
Yeah. You didn't stick with that as long as...
No.
I think Bungie wanted you to.
No. I tried. I really tried. Man, the vitriol for Destiny 2 is high.
It's really
I can't even...
toxic.
I'm not even trying to go around and find it. It's just I randomly come across different Twitter threads or Reddit threads, and it's not even about Destiny 2, but someone will bring up Destiny 2, and then it's just a derail of people just saying how much they hate it and how much it was like everyone still goes back to Destiny 1 with the Taken King was the high point.
Yep.
And they're like, how did they everyone's constantly it's the consistent, maybe it's not everyone because clearly people are playing Destiny 2 and enjoying it and having fun, but that like the sentiment that has kind of embedded itself into the gamer zeitgeist is Destiny 2 was just like 3 steps back, which is sad.
That's the thing that pisses everybody off is that they took something that wasn't great or perceived as great, and they brought it to something that people really liked with the Taken King, and then they just went way backwards. Like,
yeah, that's what I keep on hearing.
Yeah, so what's Destiny 3 going to be? That was
I don't know.
I was playing with a friend yesterday, which I'll talk about when I get to what I'm playing.
But that's what I'm playing, Monster Hunter. So you can go talk about what you're playing.
Oh, okay. So my friend and I, Brad, you met him.
Yeah.
We've been planning for a while to do some couch co-op, and we were waiting for him to move. They just bought a new condo, so I went over to his place, and we sat on his couch, and we played Halo.
Which Halo?
Halo 4, because it's the one that I haven't beaten. So we started from the beginning, and we got through 7 missions, and I had to get home for bedtime with my kid. But god damn, okay, 2 things about this experience. One, it took us almost an hour to finally get the game going because we were trying to update the Xbox, partially because he hadn't played in a while, and then update the Master Chief Collection. And then when we go in and we start our game, when we at the beginning of Halo 4, you kind of come out of that cryo lock or whatever.
I never played Halo 4.
Oops, spoilers. Sorry.
No, I don't care. The last Halo I played was Halo 3.
Okay, that's maybe a good.
And I actually felt like it was a great ending. I was like, I was okay with that being the end of Halo.
Well, Master Chief basically comes back, and he's been in cryo for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. So we open the cryo chamber, and I step out, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at the floor when I was trying to look at the ceiling. I was like, are my sticks inverted? He's like, yeah, I play inverted. I was like, cool, but I don't want to play inverted. I cannot play inverted. So we go in and we switch my sticks, and then we start playing, and then he's looking at the floor. And we spent a long time going back and forth trying to make sure that he was inverted and I wasn't, and we couldn't figure out how to get us both to be what we wanted to be. And it turns out we were going through the system settings to change the sticks when we should have gone through the Master Chief
game
collection.
Settings. Yeah,
exactly right. So once we ironed that all out, we played 7 missions and just ripped through together. I forgot how much fun it is to sit next to your friend and just play a game together. Mm-hmm. Because I often play with friends over the internet, and it's great, but not the same experience. So we're going to make it a monthly thing and go over, and we're going to get through 4 and then move on to Reach or ODST or whatever. He wants me to play all the Halos, so I've gotten through 3.5 right now, and we're going to keep going. But as we were playing, he was like, yeah, Bungie was great, and this is 343 and whatever. And I haven't even got to Destiny 2 yet. And I was like, yeah, maybe you don't want to. I mean, I know you liked Star Wars Battlefront a ton, so maybe you'll like it, where I didn't like Destiny 2, but I think it's a game you can pass.
Yeah.
What's
your opinion of Halo 4 overall?
I had so much fun. Like, I was like,
well,
kind of want to get an Xbox again to keep playing this. It was fun. It was just fun, is what I would say.
But from a story standpoint,
oh Jesus Christ, no. It's
I expect it to be like a fine, like, even when going to 343, like they were very much being held to a certain standard on the gunplay. So I wouldn't expect those to degrade. It was mostly like, all I've ever heard post, honestly, Reach, because Reach was the last Bungie one. Yeah, Reach was the last Bungie one. That they really didn't pick up the story that well. They didn't. They were like, "We're bringing back Master Chief," and you're like, "No, you shouldn't do that." But I guess you are. Sweet.
Yeah. And then in 5, they tried to like downplay him and bring up Locke, and people were like, "No. This is terrible. Bring back Master Chief."
But that was better.
I'll tell you how the story makes sense. Is that when there were cutscenes and everything was happening, my friend was trying to explain to me what was happening, because I was like, not quite sure what this is all about. And that's, I mean, I don't, it's a schema to put the gunplay on, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wasn't compelled. There's this what's his name? There's some big baddie guy. Eminently forgettable name.
Sure.
But just like the main antagonist, basically. It just seems like standard. I'm not standard, like subpar sci-fi kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
But it's serviceable, I suppose. But it's nothing. Like I think I hold up like Mass Effect as the pinnacle of storytelling.
Yeah. For sci-fi, it's really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing obviously like that. So.
I do want to play ODST. That's the one I haven't played that I do want to play.
Well, I think that's the one that he wants us to move on to next. It's either that one or Reach, but he wants me to get through all the, finish 4 and then get through the rest of the Bungie games.
ODST is just nice, as far as I know, it's because it's just so standalone.
Yeah.
And you're an ODST soldier. Like, it's not you as some giant super soldier.
Right.
And it's noir. It's a noir story. So.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah. Or it has noir elements to it. That's always been. It was them, Bungie taking a different tact on the shooter, and I was like, that sounds way cooler than another Master Chief game to me. So,
well, I'm definitely. We're gonna keep doing this, and by the end of the year, I'll probably get through the rest of the games, because we tore through 4. We got through 7 missions in about 3.5 hours. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that's not shocking.
Yeah. No, it was just stupid fun. We were just like laughing and just it was I had a great time.
Cool.
I also played a little bit of Monster Hunter World this week, and by that I mean I played Street Fighter V, and I'm starting to get my Monster Hunter gear for Ken.
Don't tease me.
Sorry. I thought that'd be funny. So I got the boots, and then each week I had to go into this like extra battle mode and then beat the opponent. So last week I was Ken, and I played Ken, who was in the Monster Hunter gear. And it was a pretty easy fight. So I won that one. I had to win 4 weeks in a row, and you spend like some of your fight money each week to do it. And if you win the first time, you get the money back or whatever.
Okay.
And yeah, so I've got to do it this week, next week, and the week after. As long as I don't forget, once you do all 4 and get all 4 pieces, then you unlock the whole outfit. So they're basically making you come back to Street Fighter once a week.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looking at the armors look pretty decent.
The Ken one looks freaking rad. It's the last one, and I think it's the best one.
Is it the, like, I assume it's the red, black and red one?
Yes.
Yeah. With the full mask and the big long sword.
Yep. I think it's Rathalos armor. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that looks like Rathalos.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's really cool. Damn. Okay. Sweet.
So hopefully I'll get that. And then I played Assassin's Creed Origins for a couple hours when I had the TV free. I won't go too much more into that other than it's just continuing to kick ass. And I'm hearing people saying that loved Origins who are saying that the Far Cry 5 open world is even better.
Oh, wow.
Which blows my mind. I'd like to hear more reviews of that before I believe that. But
did you see the rumors on the next Assassin's Creed?
I heard Greece,
and not this year, next year, 2019.
Right. Which means we might have a big expansion for
I assume
Origins.
Big expansion this fall.
Yeah, right. Something on the order of like Blood and Wine or something from Witcher. That's awesome. More Origins is great, and take your time with the next Assassin's Creed, because if this is the trajectory they're going on, I mean, obviously it's worked out for them because they were managed to push Vivendi off buying their stock.
That's true. That was a big thing this week, right before GDC. Yeah,
right.
Vivendi was like, this is not going to happen, so we're going to sell a big chunk to Tencent.
Well, it's interesting too, because some people were saying maybe Vivendi never meant to, but because they were trying, Ubisoft did what they could to raise the stock price, and then Vivendi was able to sell for a nice profit. So who knows? It worked. I guess.
Win-win, I guess. Yeah, isn't that right?
Pretty much, exactly right. So yeah, Tencent seems to be buying everything.
Tencent can buy everything. People want to talk about a mega corporation. Tencent is a mega corporation.
That's like the future of cyberpunk.
I mean, we're kind of hitting there. Like, think of. Actually, when in some ways considering Amazon is pretty much a mega corporation. They're in everything, not like delivering your goods and everything, and
web hosting,
back-end service, like just enormous amount of places. Tech, e-reader, like everywhere, like they're there. The only thing Amazon doesn't have that Tencent kind of does have is Amazon doesn't have a social network. Tencent owns basically large chunks of Chinese social networks. Like that's their big thing. They're not really a game company. A game company is just like that's part of their company. But they're they own a number of social networks in China, big ones, and mobile phones and news. And
oh damn. Okay.
They're huge. They're true enormous corporation that like that's the thing. I feel like people living in the States were like, oh, our corporations are big. I'm like, yeah, go look at this one.
Not like that.
This is insanity. Like, welcome to your corporate overlord. Like, that's what it is.
And they own, I think they own Riot outright.
They outright bought Riot now. Like, they owned a big chunk in Riot for a long time, and then the founders just sold the rest to them a few years ago. Right. They have a big stake in Epic and Unreal. Like, I'd have to look. They really did a big push into Western studios in the past 3 years. So
it's definitely a necessary infusion of cash, but I think the consequences of that bear out later.
I'm sure.
Because if you're at the mercy of the founders, and then the founders say, "Well, we're going to sell and we're going to cash out," then the rest of the company. I mean, if they have stock options, that's great for them. But otherwise, I don't know.
yep, this is where we're at. So
yeah, right.
That's where I'm like, I feel like Tencent could just come in and buy like EA if they wanted to.
Absolutely.
They don't want to, but
yeah.
But now they own a chunk of Vivendi, or not Vivendi, of Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Although they said that they're going to diversify their portion of it as well. They're going to work at getting other. I was looking at like another kind of like firm to manage it as well. Sell off some of the shares that they got, like trying to diversify that so it'd be hard for a hostile takeover to happen ever again.
Right. Which is what they are going to try to avoid by structuring their stock in some special way to do that. Well, and it sucked, that whole drama, but to be honest, the Ubisoft of the last 2 years has become, behind Nintendo, my favorite developer. So
yeah, no, they've been they're getting, I would say, back on track. They had a little bit of a lull there, but I feel like they're pushing closer to being up into the prestige area finally.
Right.
It's taken them a while, but yeah.
Reminds me of the Mario Rabbids. When the hell is that new DLC coming out? I want to play the Donkey Kong World. God, that game was so good. Once I'll have to send it to you at one of these points when you're ready to play it. I know you were going to be on Monster Hunter for the next 2 years.
Is there ever going to be not? Like, that's my thing. I'm like, I think I could play Monster Hunter for a very long time because it seems like they're going to keep doing updates too. So
that's how I feel about Origins. Is that there's so much content here. I can play this for. I mean, I bought it in November, and it's basically the only PS4 game that I played since then. Seriously. So I guess you can subsist on one game when you are only playing like a couple hours a week.
It's true. Even though I'm at 120 hours of Monster Hunter.
That's because you have no kids. Oh wait, never mind.
Oh, all right, I do. I just don't sleep nearly as much as I probably should.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm in bed by 9:30.
Yeah, not so much.
Usually, not tonight, but usually, because otherwise, a kid wakes up at 4. So.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then like last night is typical. Wakes up at 4, feed her, and then she's just kind of awake. So you have to rock her, and she goes right to sleep. But you put her down, nope, she's awake. You gotta hold her, and it's just like holding her for 2 hours. Like there's no way to put her down, and we need to get her to sleep another 2 hours so she gets the right amount of sleep. And it's just like, oh boy, it's pretty rough right now. Like my shoulder is just savaged because of her weight. She's growing. So.
Yes.
But we love her.
My wife completely wrecked one of her wrists from holding my son when he was a babe too much. Like as he got older, like she had to get like a brace and a whole shot into her cortisone shot into her wrist. I'm understanding that because you don't realize how much as they grow in weight. It's so gradual in some ways that you just don't realize that it's kind of they start weighing a lot more and it starts becoming hard on you. Right. Physically.
And that's what I mean. I haven't been able to sleep the last 3 or 4 nights because when I roll onto that shoulder, it's just like shooting pain. So,
great.
Yeah, it's been rough for a lot of reasons. So, I mean, it's I guess part of parenting.
Yes.
These surprises that pop up. Anyway, this is not Parent Cast. This is the Games Cast. So we'll sign off. This was episode 132 of Prof and Dev Play Games. He is at Summerspeak. I am at Prof Plays Games. Again, if you like the show, please review us wherever you are. We are enjoying the growing audience. We hope that you enjoy our podcast, and we will see you next week.
All right. Night all.